President Buhari gets another 2023 presidential race notice as Governor Umahi indicates interest.
That I will be running for presidency on the platform of APC.
Taking the loot back to the Treasury, EFCC records more breakthroughs.
We must continue to give priority attention to the monumental challenge of improving the material well-being and economic welfare of our teeming populace.
Ruled Nigeria for 83 days, dies at 85 years. Former interim leader Ernest Shonekan is no more. This is NTA Network News. We're live in Abuja. I'm Ian Ray. John Hingino John is now Lagos studio, and Mohammed Ibrahim joins us from Maiduguri. Thank you for joining us. The former head of the 1993 three-month-old interim national government of Nigeria, Chief Ernest Shonekan, has died at 85. Adebola Brookslin tells us more about the man who succeeded former military president General Ibrahim Babangida.
Late Chief Ernest Oladeyinde Shonekan, GCFR, the Abese of Egbaland, was a Nigerian lawyer and statesman who served as the interim head of state of Nigeria from 26 August 1993 to 17 November 1993. Prior to his political career, Shonekan was the chairman and chief executive of the United African Company of Nigeria, a vast Nigerian conglomerate, which at the time was the largest African-controlled company in sub-Saharan Africa. Late Shonekan was one of 6 children born into the family of an Abeokuta-born civil servants on 9th May 1936 in Lagos State.
We faithful and bear true allegiance.
Late Shonekan came into limelight on January 2nd, 1993, when he assumed office simultaneously as head of Transitional Council and head of government under former head of state Ibrahim Babangida.
We must continue to give priority attention to the monumental challenge of improving the material well-being and economic welfare of our teeming populace.
At that time, the Transitional Council was designed to be the final phase leading to a scheduled handover to an elected democratic leader of the Third Nigerian Republic. In August 1993, Babangida resigned from office following the annulment of the June 12 elections. He then signed a decree establishing the interim national government led by Chief Ernest Shonekan, who was subsequently sworn in as head of state.
He wasn't a politician. He was a bureaucrat to the core. So he never played politics with his job. He was just plain, professional and providing the necessary leadership.
During his few months in power, he tried to schedule another presidential election and a return to democratic rule.
To reassure our foreign partners that Nigeria's commitment to the important elements of the New World Order, particularly democratization, should not be in doubt.
His government was hampered by national workers' strike. Opposition leader Moshood Abiola viewed Shonekan's interim government as illegitimate, which was backed by a Lagos state court.
In spite of the political warfare that follows his acceptance of that role after the annulment of June 12 election, he still remained a complete gentleman. What struck me about him is that he was not one man that would want to deliberately hurt anybody. And he comported himself. He was aristocratic in nature.
As the head of state, he released some political prisoners detained by the regime of former President Ibrahim Babangida. In November 1993, 3 months into his administration, Shonekan was overthrown in a palace coup by General Sani Abacha.
The interim national government is hereby dissolved. The national and state assemblies are also dissolved.
In 1994, he founded the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, an advocacy group and think tank for private sector-led development of the Nigerian economy.
We had this meeting with them. I was taking my notes, and Chief Shonekon just told them point blank. He was a point blank person. He really believed that government must not be everywhere and everything, that agencies too, those working in government too, can increase revenue, their revenue.
Since he left office, Chief Shonekon assumed a position of an elder statesman and recently paid a special visit to President Muhammadu Buhari. He was the third oldest surviving Nigerian head of state by age after former head of state General Yakubu Gowon. Adebola Brookslyn, NTA News.
And President Muhammadu Buhari has received with profound sadness the news of the death of a great statesman and former head of the interim national government, Chief Ernest Shonekon. The president extends deepest condolences to Chief Shonekon's wife, Margaret, loved ones, as well as the government and people of Ogun State. As an internationally respected statesman, President Buhari affirms that with courageous wisdom, Chief Shonekon left his flourishing business career to become the head of government at a delicate time when the country needed someone of his calm mien and pedigree to save the ship of the state from sinking. President Buhari believes that Nigeria owes a great debt to Chief Shonekon, the peacemaker who even at the twilight of his lifetime never stopped believing and working for a prosperous and democratic country. Meanwhile, General Ibrahim Babangida describes late Ernest Shonekon as a leader and an uncommon patriot who had a presence of mind and whose understanding of Nigeria was profound and remarkable. President Babangida, in a statement, said Chief Ernest Shonekon was one of Nigeria's cerebral minds during his time in government, that he was the architect of the principle of free market economy, which helped to open up the system from a robust participation by the private sector. Babangida says the liberalization of the economy, the investment and boost in the agricultural sector, and budget management approach were part of Shonekon's ideas. All these, he said, made his choice as head of the interim government to help stabilize the polity at a most trying period of the country's political evolution. General Babangida prayed the Almighty God to console his family and other Nigerians over the loss of the gentle giant of quintessential orientation and grant his soul eternal rest. And following the death of the former head of the interim government, late Chief Ernest Shonekon, JCFR, President Muhammadu Buhari has directed that the national flag be flown at half-mast, effective from Wednesday, 12th to Friday, 14th January 2022, as a mark of respect for the former head of state. And the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, mourns former head of the interim national government, Chief Ernest Shonekon. In a statement, Senator Lawan condoles with Chief Shonekon's family, the government and people of Ogun State over the death of the former Nigerian leader. The Speaker, House of Representatives, Femi Gbajagbeamila, has also described the death of the former head of Nigeria's interim government as a painful loss. In a statement, Gbajagbeamila said Chief Shonekon's death has created a vacuum among the League of Elder Statesmen in the country, and recalled how Shonekon was called to serve his fatherland at a critical time in Nigeria's history, noting that the late elder statesman did so with patriotism, zeal and commitment. Ogun State Governor Diaspora also joined in mourning late Shonekon. He described the death of the Egba-born British-trained lawyer, industrialist and traditional chief as a colossal loss to Nigeria, noting that his death has created a huge vacuum in Nigeria and Egba land. Governor Abiodun prayed God to grant the soul of the deceased eternal repose and comfort his immediate family and the Egba Traditional Council. Meanwhile, General Abdulsalami Abubakar has described late Shonekon as a committed Nigerian, a patriot and gentleman who gave his all for the betterment of Nigeria. Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress national leader, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, has commiserated with Governor Diaspora Abiodun, Mrs. Margaret Shonekon, and the people of Ogun State over the passing of the former head of the interim national government, Chief Ernest Shonekon. In a condolence message, Asiwaju Tinubu said the country has lost another important elder statesman, a man of peace who tried to bring unity and concord during one of the nation's most trying moments and will be remembered as a peacemaker. In other news, Governor Dave Umahi of Ebonyi State has indicated interest to contest the 2023 presidential election on the platform of the governing APC. Already, the governor has notified President Muhammadu Buhari of his ambition, which he described as well thought out. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo brings us details.
Governor Dave Umahi is making known his presidential ambition to President Muhammadu Buhari barely 24 hours after the former Lagos State Governor, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, had done so. The Ebonyi governor, who defected to the governing party in November 2020, had told the president of his desire to carry on with his legacies.
Without prejudice to whatever will be the decision of the party which we shall all abide by, I believe that with what I put in place in the past 6 years plus, that I will be running for presidency on the platform of APC. So I told him, and of course, he believes that whoever that wants to run for president of this country must have to consult widely, and we must do everything to remove ethnicity and our religion in our polity so that this country can grow. God willing, if it's God's will and the wish of the people of this country, Umahi's presidency will be looking at, the same thing we did in Ebonyi State. And it's all about patriotism. It's all about fear of God. It's all about bringing, experience to bear. I have a lot to give in terms of how to run governance as business. We also believe strongly that we'll be able to, continue with what Mr. President has done.
Governor Dave Umahi, who is also the chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum, also discussed with the president issues relating to the security situation in the Southeast, suggesting the need for political solution as the best way forward.
Political solution does not terminate the judicial process. And if you know Mr. President very well, he has always said, and he has always demonstrated that he wouldn't interfere with any judiciary, process. Everybody knows him for that. But you remember very well that if agreement is reached, between parties, and you don't expect Mr. President to be the negotiator, there are a lot of, federal government, officials. And so I believe strongly that Southeast, that proposing for political solution should be able to engage the federal government. After all, there's always what is called out of court settlement. But it's for, our people and, our brother Kano to be willing, for us to truly engage so that we can find true peace in our region.
Meanwhile, the governor had told journalists that President Muhammadu Buhari will be visiting his state to inaugurate some landmark infrastructure projects executed by his administration.
We have completed 13 twin flyovers, each one going between 300-meter length to 500. That's each of the twin flyovers. We are doing the next 2 flyovers. We have completed a mall that is not like any other mall in the entire West Africa. We've completed the best university in this country, and which we tagged, University of Medical Sciences. Mr. President will also be commissioning his, very uncommon flyover complex, which he laid the foundations to.
The presidential state visit to Ebonyi is tentatively fixed for the 15th of March this year. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And away from politics, President Muhammadu Buhari has formally endorsed the establishment of the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Trust Fund, a private sector investment window for Nigerians in the diaspora to directly support investments in the country. This was while receiving a compendium entitled Plus 600 Diaspora Icons at 60, published by the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo again has the details.
The compendium is aimed at recognizing, celebrating, and showcasing Nigerians in the diaspora who are doing great things in their host countries, contributing to the socio-economic development of Nigeria. Chairman, Nigerians in the Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri Erewa, said the publication was inspired by the town hall engagements between President Muhammadu Buhari and Nigerians in the diaspora.
These Nigerians, sir, are using their resources, talent, skills, and global exposure, and they're also flying the flag of Nigeria high in their host countries, as you have seen when you meet them, sir. We plan to publish this compendium at regular intervals, as presently we have thousands of other Nigerians worth celebrating by their country, Nigeria.
President Muhammadu Buhari formally expressed his administration's profound gratitude to the Nigerians in the Diaspora Commission for the innovative steps towards ensuring better engagements with the nation's diaspora community.
Rebuilding Nigeria is not the responsibility of Nigerians who live at home alone, but of every Nigerian irrespective of the place of domicile. On behalf of the federal government of Nigeria, I call on all Nigerians to remain patriotic and committed to the highest ideal of contributing to the Nigerian project of the Nigeria of our collective dreams.
The compendium, Diaspora Icons at 60, the president said, is a reminder of what Nigerians are capable of doing to the delight of the global community, irrespective of the few bad eggs, saying Nigeria remains a great country populated by great people living at home or abroad and making everyone proud.
It is our duty to extol and celebrate them, as no one else will do so for us. Rather, other people will tend to capitalize on the few bad eggs and characterize us in their own narratives that seek to characterize us in bad light. We must not allow that to happen. As we launch the compendium of excellent Nigerians today, we are also celebrating some of our best nationally and globally. I call on every Nigerian, irrespective of where they may be, to continue to be of exemplary behavior and with determination to offer quality services that contribute to the progress of humanity.
The chairman, Nigerians in the Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri Erewa, used the opportunity to highlight some of the giant strides achieved by the commission since establishment in 2019 and made a case for increased budgetary allocation as Nigerians in the diaspora form a strategic component of the population that must be engaged for national development. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Time for a break. Please stay. Thank you for staying. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo receives in audience the Greece Foreign Minister Nicholas Georgios Dendias, who is on official visit to Nigeria. State House correspondent Gideon Ifade reports.
Have a comparative advantage.
Nigerian Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema led the delegation to the office of the Vice President after a number of MOUs of mutual benefits had been signed by both ministers. Issues discussed at the meeting include how the economic ties between the two countries can be strengthened, maritime security and the security challenges in the country and Africa, as well as combating the COVID-19 challenge.
And we think that the opportunities are just limitless for cooperation. And also to thank you very much and to thank the government of Greece for the donation of vaccinations. The pandemic remains remains a major threat for the entire world. And we have taken very serious steps in ensuring that we are protected and protect our populace as much as possible and collaborate with the rest of the world in ensuring that we're able to do as much as we can to prevent the spread of the pandemic.
Generally on the issues of security in the sub-Saharan Africa, which us as Greece, but mostly as members of the European Union, have a big interest. Also, we would like to be a part of a bright economic future of the region. We believe that Africa is the fastest growing region in the world, has the youngest population, and we have to help the development of Africa, among others, in order to address also the issues having to do with migration.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo assures his visitors that Nigeria is playing its part in seeing the COVID-19 pandemic to an end, and that government is ready to cooperate with other countries on this and in ensuring peace in Africa and elsewhere in the world. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has officially announced Amina Mohammed of Nigeria as Deputy Secretary General of the World Body. Adebola Brookslane reports.
Secretary Mohammed solemnly declare and promise to exercise.
In January 2017, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres swore in Nigeria's Amina Mohammed as Deputy Secretary General of the global body. Shortly after the UN General Assembly reappointed Antonio Guterres for a second time in June, the UN scribe said Nigeria's Amina Mohammed will serve with him for a second term. During a media chat in New York, the United Nations spokesperson Stephen Dujarric said the formal confirmation of Amina Mohammed followed her successful first tenure, recognizing her contributions in the UN robust response to socio-economic effects of the COVID-19 crisis.
Ms. Mohammed's leadership helped advance a conceptual shift from the UN that member states called for in adopting the Sustainable Development Goals. The Secretary General expressed his appreciation for the Deputy Secretary General's leadership of the UN Sustainable Development Group and her determination to reinforce the collective results and maximize the impact of the UN development system.
The global body also sympathized with Nigeria on the recent attacks in Zamfara State.
He extends his heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families. The Secretary General urges the Nigerian authorities to spare no effort in bringing those responsible for this heinous crime to justice. The Secretary General reaffirms the solidarity and support of the United Nations to the government and people of Nigeria in their fight against terrorism, violent extremism, and organized crime.
President Muhammadu Buhari had vowed that the federal government will not relent in the current military operations to get rid of those who have been terrorizing innocent people. Adebola Brookslane, NTA News.
Looking at other issues now, from launching new projects to improving the welfare of officers and Britons. 2021 was the year the Nigerian Navy expanded its operations under a new leadership to reassert itself as a force to be reckoned with in Africa's maritime domain. The French correspondent Najatu Tijani has an excerpt of a review of the Nigerian Navy's first quarter in 2021.
From acquiring new platforms, launching collaborative projects, and reducing piracy in the Gulf of Guinea, to promotions and enhanced welfare packages for officers and ratings, the year 2021 was full of scalable operations as the Nigerian Navy tried to reassert itself as a dominant leader in Africa's maritime domain. January 29, 2021 heralded a new beginning in the Nigerian Navy leadership. Like the first month of the year, it was a time for many firsts. Shortly after taking over from his predecessor, Vice Admiral Ibokite Ibaz, the new chief unveiled his vision and mission statement to reposition the Nigerian Navy as first among equals, in line with President Muhammadu Buhari's vision.
Hinged on cooperative maritime security framework as envisaged in the 2013 Yaoundé Protocol to arrive at strategies that will help address the maritime insecurity for enhanced economic prosperity in the region.
To achieve this vision, the naval chief would focus on key drivers, including personnel welfare towards enhanced integrity, productivity, and dedication, human capacity development through results-driven training for enhanced professionalism, and logistics support and maintenance to keep platforms and equipment in top condition. Fast forward to March 5, 2021, when the naval chief was promoted to the rank of Vice Admiral, alongside other service chiefs led by the Chief of Defense Staff, barely 2 months after their appointments. The first quarter also saw the redeployment of more than 200 senior officers to various naval units, the inauguration of projects and forging new partnerships with various organizations within and outside the maritime domain. Expect a review of the second quarter for Nigerian Navy operations next. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
And away from security, ahead of the proposed February 2022 National Convention of the All Progressives Congress, stakeholders have commenced pre-convention summit. Salihu Gwanara reports.
Okay, even if you have it.
This convergence of members of the progressive family is the first major political activity in the year 2022 by stakeholders of the APC in Abuja. Participants say the summit seeks to put the party on a solid ground and remind members of the need to adhere to the progressive ideology ahead of the leadership recruitment exercise.
It's a question of identifying key issues and sit down and extract some guarantees that they will run the business, whoever emerge will run the business of the party based on those guarantees.
We want to be actively involved in how the leadership is made. We want to be actively involved in how our future is being discussed or being implemented.
It's work in progress, and this time around they will be more involved and they will be given that sense of belonging and they will be carried along.
The youth, particularly those in politics, have been reminded to place national interest above other interests for political and economic development of the nation moving forward. Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the National Reconciliation Committee of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has promised to reconcile all sides in the dispute within the state chapter of the party in Kwara State. The Senator Abdullahi Adamu-led committee made this known during the visit to the state governor, Abdurrahman Abdurrazak, on arrival in Ilorin, the state capital. Raliat Ibrahim reports.
Visit of the National Reconciliation Committee led by Senator Abdullahi Adamu to Osun State was to ensure fairness, equity and justice among party members.
We'll take the spirit of the submissions that were made to us by the petitioners and the spirit and construction of the responses that we got. By the grace of God, we will take the steps that will strengthen this party, strengthen this administration, and not the opposite.
During the visit to the government house in Osogbo, leadership of the party in Osun responded and defended allegations of alienation raised by dissenting members of the party, known as the Osun Progressives, TOP. The governor expressed confidence in the ability of the National Reconciliation Committee to resolve all differences in the party with equity and fairness.
I want to say that the people who consider themselves as TOP, they have every right to come back to the party. We're not saying no to them coming back. All we're saying is please show sincerity of purpose. We should work together in the interest of our party, in the interest of our government, and the interest of the state.
Leaders of the party affirmed their commitment to unity and progress of APC in Osun. The committee had earlier met separately with aggrieved party members. In Osogbo, Femi Afayogun, NTA News.
And that report was on the Reconciliation Committee of the APC to Osun State and not Kwara. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari joins family, friends and the National Assembly to felicitate with the President of the Senate, Ahmad Ibrahim Lawan, on his 63rd birthday, January 12, 2022. In a statement, the President congratulates the distinguished Senator on the strides so far in providing an inclusive and responsive leadership at the upper chamber, using his many years of experience since 2003 to guide the collective wisdom of the Senate in pursuit of the national interest. President Buhari notes the contributions of Senator Lawan to the political and economic development of the country, pointing to his visionary leadership style with a strong penchant for always finding a common ground with the executive arm of government, which has been most rewarding for the country. especially in passage of bills that directly impact on the livelihood of the people. President Buhari prays for his good health, strength, and more wisdom to guide the affairs of the Senate. As schools reopen in Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, with technical support from the United Nations World Food Programme, WFP, says the National Homegrown School Feeding Programme, launched by the federal government in 2016, will be taken to the next level. A statement by the ministry says that the decision is as a result of a joint assessment conducted in the first quarter of 2021 to identify ways of improving, scaling up, and sustaining the program. Homegrown school feeding initiatives promote nutrition education and better eating habits, as well as encourage the diversification of production with a special emphasis on local crops. However, World Food Programme is back in the next stage with a significant transfer of ICT equipment, describing Nigeria as a good example of where the government has taken a lead from day one and invested resources and funding into the design and implementation of its National Homegrown School Feeding Programme. And just reaching us, a story building housing a church, Salvation Ministries at Opakanam Road in Delta State, has collapsed, trapping the worshippers, including children. It happened around 5:30 this evening. Efforts are still on to rescue the victims. Some have been rescued alive and taken to the hospital, while few bodies have been removed from the rubble. The rescue team, including officers from SEMA, Fire Service, Red Cross, Ministry of Health, Nigerian Police Force, and good-spirited Nigerians. The Secretary to the Delta State Government, Patrick Oka, led the Delta State Executive Council members to the scene. They are all strategizing to rescue others. Meanwhile, we hear that the building is under renovation. Very sad report coming from Delta State. Now we head to Lagos, where Hingino will feed us with more news. Hingino, what's the latest?
Thank you, Ianre. The world is united towards completely eradicating COVID-19. To this effect, efforts are being intensified to ensure that the various variants, Delta, Omicron, IHU, and the controversial Deltacron, are not given room to continue with their deadly mission. In this report, Ruth Ario-Samuel examines global response towards curbing the dominant variant, Omicron.
The pandemic is threatening to human existence. It started as COVID-19 and transformed into more dangerous variants. As it mutates, researchers and medical experts globally are also relentless in finding lasting solutions to the ambitious virus. Though a new variant has emerged in France known as IHU, Omicron still remains the dominant variant, and global response towards curbing the strain is strong.
We do know that the Omicron is not the last variant that we will see, and one of the ways we can fight it effectively is to continue to vaccinate and to continue to make people aware of the need and the ways we can stop transmission.
Campaigns on preventive measures, as well as enlightening people on the myths of conspiracy theories, are some of the techniques used by key players in curbing the spread. Vaccination is also a viable option to defeat the virus, as global health leaders are advocating booster doses for more protection.
We need to have the leaders talking together to design a concerted global response so that when such a thing happens in the world again, this is how we are going to respond.
Medical experts say ending the pandemic is not a matter of chance, but a matter of choice, as the global death rate is not reducing. In Lagos, Ruth Ario-Samuel, NTA News.
Talking security now, the Nigerian Navy has arrested some suspected criminals and foreign nationals within the Nigerian waterways. Huge consignment of goods ranging from cannabis to petroleum products were also intercepted. Lynn Leneke reports that the seizures were made during the Yuletide.
The Nigerian Navy has again proved its capability of ensuring zero tolerance to illegalities within the maritime domain
in line with its constitutional mandate. This is evident in its recent interception of 261 bags of cannabis, a large boat laden with 413 bags of smuggled rice, and 2 large Cotonou boats laden with over 154 250 liters of empty drums waiting for a vessel to receive petroleum products on the Gulf of Guinea. Also intercepted was 125 drums of 250 liters each with unspecified amount of PMS. The Navy said the arrests and interception were done by different Nigerian Navy ships at different locations.
Every time you bring in a single bag of rice, you're collapsing our own economy. The farmers who have spent day and night and all their resources farming this rice are losing. So also this petroleum product. Some you are buying, they are even giving you poor product, contaminated product that will end up damaging your vehicle. NNSB Croft will not tolerate any act of crime within our own water. And anybody involved in that will bring him to book.
The Navy says it will not leave any stone unturned in intensifying intelligence gathering, including patrols of the maritime environment and internal security operations. In Lagos, Lane Lenake, NTA News.
That's it from here. Another break beckons. The news continues shortly.
Glad to have you back. The stock market goes red for the first time in the year 2022. And Benny Adams is here to fill us in with the details. Benny.
Thank you, Inyere. Well, we're going back to winning ways. I'm so very sure of that. Well, we'll start with sharing news that more than 1 million Nigerians have benefited from the different schemes under the Economic Sustainability Plan's MSME Survival Fund, thereby saving millions of jobs. Minister of State Industry, Trade and Investment, Mariam Katagum, disclosed that while all states and the FCT have received varying amounts of the 75 billion naira survival fund with its different schemes, each state would soon receive a minimum of 1.7 billion cumulative from all the schemes. The minister was speaking during the first meeting of the Economic Sustainability Committee in 2022. And oil market, oil rose to more than $83 a barrel on Tuesday, supported by tight supply and expectations that rising coronavirus cases and the spread of the Omicron variant will not derail a global demand recovery. Brent crude gained $2.06 to trade at $83.46 a barrel. It is the highest since early November, after having lost 1% in the previous session. U.S. West Texas Intermediate rose $2.75 to $80.97, also the highest since mid-November, after falling 0.8% on Monday. And on the capital market, investors lost 20.38 billion naira as the oil share index dipped by 0.09% to close the market at 43,859.30 basis points, while market capitalization is 23.6 trillion naira. 294.5 million shares valued at 6.7 billion naira were traded in 4,501 deals. Market breadth closed negative as Boa Foods led as 17 gainers as against 26 losers, topped by M Benefit at the end of today's session. Transcorp, FBNH, and The Guarantee were the most active to boost market turnover, just as Seplat and Stanbic topped market value list. That is business and news. Nyeri, it's over to you.
Many thanks, Benny. Still talking about money, but this time not business. The fight against corruption has continued to record remarkable boost as the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, recovers more monies. This is disclosed in continuation of the review of the Commission's operational activities for the year 2021.
From securing the highest number of convictions since the inception of the Commission to the recovery of more than 150 billion naira, the year 2021 was a giant stride for the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The commission also recovered more than $300 million and more than £1 million between in the year just concluded. A statement by the head of media and publicity of the commission, Wilson Uwajirin, says the recovery basket included digital currency components. The headquarters operation command dominated recovery with more than 67 billion naira, followed by the Lagos command, which led naira recoveries with more than 70 billion naira, while Kaduna zonal command emerged third in terms of recoveries. Giving an overview of the commission's performance, the executive chairman, Abdulrasheed Bawa, explained that the recoveries are direct and indirect for the different tiers of government, corporate organizations and individuals.
And now we join Mohammed in Maiduguri for more news. Maiduguri, Mohammed, I hear you.
Borno State government has ordered the State Traffic Management Agency to impound trailers and long vehicles plying the state with overload goods. Governor Babagana Umara gave the directive at the State Mechanical Workshop, where he inspected 21 trucks impounded for violating weight and axle load of heavy-duty goods transport regulations. Mohammed Goni reports.
Briefing the governor, the State Commissioner of Transport, Dr. Abubakar Tijani, said each of the trucks carried nothing less than 100 tons of goods as against the maximum standard of 38 tons. Professor Babagana Umara said the new directives will pay more attention on trucks and long vehicles called giwa-giwa, known for overload, while such vehicles will henceforth be impounded and made to pay fine in accordance with state government's stipulated traffic laws. He noted that the state would adopt and domesticate federal highway regulations, adding that the objective of the regulation was to set standards and to increase the lifespan of the roads.
Fortunate and very disheartening to know that trucks do overload in Borno State. Most of our roads were damaged as a result of overloading by the trucks. You can see most of these vehicles, the trucks were overloaded. Some of them weigh up to 100 tons. Nowhere in the whole world you can see trucks are loading up to this level.
The governor drew attention to damages done to the roads between Dikwa to Gamborungala, Bama to Banki, and host of other roads in the state as a result of the activities of overloaded trucks and heavy-duty vehicles. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA.
Senate Committee on Army has pledged unflinching support to the counter-insurgency operations in the Northeast region. Chairman of the committee, Senator Mohammed Ali Ndume, made the remark during a courtesy visit on the Shehu of Borno, Abubakar Ibn Umar Garbe El-Kanemi, as part of its oversight function in the state. Pauline Kujevana reports.
Borno, the epicenter of the Boko Haram insurgency, has suffered devastating effect, hence the deliberate move by the Senate Committee on Army to bring to an end the crisis. While at the palace of the Shehu of Borno, Chairman of the Senate Committee on Army, Mohammed Ali Ndume, attributed the successes being recorded in the counter-insurgency operations with the support of royal fathers who have brought the true nature of the situation on ground for prompt action by the military.
If His Royal Eminence would say it as it is, even if everybody is saying it differently, that I personally stand up to say it as it is.
The Shehu of Borno, Abubakar Ibn Umar Garbe El-Kanemi, traced the history of Borno and calamities that befell it and expressed optimism that the state will triumph over the more than a decade-long insurgency.
No local government is under control of Boko Haram or under control of Nigeria Army, but because of the fear attack here and there, 3 local governments are still in the area.
The Senate Committee on the Oversight Function to Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, intend to visit army formations to appraise its performance, challenges and needs, so as to facilitate National Assembly support for a robust counter-insurgency operations to end the lingering insecurity. In Maiduguri, Paul Nkuje, NTA News.
That is it from Maiduguri. Network News will continue in Abuja after this next commercial break.
Me and you, let's get to Ghana. Go and jump. This is Ghana.
You've come here to seek for greener pastures. Make it your worthwhile.
Any guinea fowl is a guinea. Guinea fowl has nothing to do with guinea. It's just the name of the fowl. So Ghana tell us what is it Nigerian beans?
What?
Have we made before?
No.
Diaspora! Help me!
Welcome back. On AFCON Shorts tonight, Kelechi Iheanacho's 30th minute strike sings Mo Salah and the Pharaohs of Egypt. The Super Eagles serve Africa a super game in Garoua. Oluseyi Adiabo has this and other tidbits from Cameroon.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria defeated the Pharaohs of Egypt 1-0 in their group stage encounter at the ongoing 33rd Africa Cup of Nations Tuesday in Garoua, Cameroon. Kelechi Iheanacho scored the only goal of the game in the 38th minute with an assist from Taiwo Awoniyi.
Trezeguet coming to help out Abdelmonem defensively at the moment. The ball was in towards Awoniyi. The chance still might be here for Iheanacho. And what a finish that is by Kelechi Iheanacho to give the Super Eagles of Nigeria the lead against Egypt.
It is the Eagles' first win over Egypt at the AFCON since 1990 edition in Algiers and broke Egypt's unbeaten record. Nigeria will next face Sudan in Group D on Saturday, while Egypt will take on Guinea-Bissau. Also on Tuesday, Algeria began the defense of the Africa Cup of Nations title with a goalless against Sierra Leone in a Group E encounter.
To a goalless draw in their opening group match here.
Congratulations to the Super Eagles, and we hope they sustain the tempo in Cameroon and make us proud. Now, the death has occurred of Sir James Edison Idile Omorogbe at the age of 85. Funeral arrangements by the family indicates that a vigil mass will hold in his honor on Thursday, 13th January in Benin City, while a funeral mass follows Friday, 14th January, after which his remains will be interred at his residence in Benin. Late Sir Omorogbe is survived by his wife, 5 children and 15 grandchildren. Among his children is Phil Obano, General Manager, NTA, Owerri. Time for a quick peep at the weather prospect for Wednesday.
Now it's time for Wednesday's weather focus. Mist and fog patches are expected over the coastal state, which will lift at sunrise, leaving partly cloudy to cloudy conditions over the inland cities of the south down to the coastal belt of the country. Sunny and hazy conditions are expected over the northern region, the north central. With continuous moisture influx into the country, localized thunderstorms are expected over the southeast coast of Calabar, Ekiti, Port Harcourt, Yenagoa, Warri, and Lagos axis, while the remaining axis of the north and north central will be in sunny and hazy condition throughout the focus period. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.
And that concludes NTA Network News tonight. Many thanks for watching. Please remember to continue to speak up, take action, and let's put an end to rape. I'm Yen Ray John. Have a great night.